Great. Well, thank you, Sheila and Alex and Jessica. My name's Rob Heppell. I'm with McCall Gardens Funeral Directors. And just a little bit about me. I started working at McCall's in 1986, right out of high school, and have been a funeral director and an advanced planner, and then also worked within the industry throughout North America. And now I'm back at McCall's. So I'm talking about funeral planning today, and just the three main benefits of funeral planning are, first of all, that it alleviates any financial burden, the emotional burden placed on survivors by planning that in advance. It also relieves the financial burden placed on your loved ones as well. And finally, it also ensures that your wishes are honored and met. Especially in British Columbia, one of the rules that are different here than other provinces is that when a prearrangement is made, the family or the survivors and the funeral home have to follow those directions as long as it doesn't cause any financial hardship. So what I'm just going to do is in the little cards that were handed out, I'm just going to take you through what we go through in the funeral planning process. On the first page is the vital statistical information. This is quite easy because I can't talk about it since you know all this information and I don't know any of your information about that. But we do need this information to register the death at the time with vital statistics. So it's just talks about yourself, your parents, where they were born, and then who your executor or executors or representatives are. But then if you could flip it over to the choices document, so that's the one that's quite a bit more detailed. And this is, I've found, it's been very, very helpful because it kind of takes you through all the different choices. So when I started, most of the services, there was a funeral service and it was either followed by burial or cremation, and that was about it. There wasn't many other choices. Now there are a number of choices. So we just break it down here. And so we have for the disposition, so whether the service is going to be ending in with a burial or cremation or now green burial or entombment. So in Victoria now, the cremation rate is 92%, and that's the highest rate in North America. It's mainly due to most people aren't from Victoria. There's not the plot history that other families may have in other towns. So when they come to Victoria, usually they're first generation, and so there's no plot history. Also, too, since when I started, it was 65% cremation. So cremation's been more popular in British Columbia for a number of years, for 30, 40 years. But we thought then, as we saw it go up, that it would actually just keep on going to 100%. But what happened when it hit like 92%, and a couple of things we realized. One, there's still part of the community that choose burial, and maybe it's part of their tradition, whether there's Asians that choose burial, Middle Europeans choose burial over cremation. But another thing that happened at that time too, about 10, 15 years ago, Royal Oak Burial Park started green burial. And so, and that has really, with those two things, have really leveled off the increase of cremation. So it's been 92%, as I said, for over a decade, and it seems that it's going to stay like that. Then there's the different services. So now instead of just traditional funeral service or memorial service or no service at all, there's a number of different services. So celebrations of life and things like that. So that could be checked off. And just, if you take this home and you're working through this, there's a little thing on the right-hand side that you've decided this, you're undecided, or you want more information before you make that decision. Then there's just other little things that get more into the details of the service themselves, if who's going to be the officiant. Is it going to be a celebrant or a minister or just a member of the family? Is there anyone else that's going to participate in the service? And then is there going to be any music, what music that you'd want? And then different, if there's going to be followed by catering. And with McCall's, where we're at now, we have our new facility has a full catering kitchen. It has a bar for beer and wine. And, those are quite popular, where we wouldn't have thought of that when I started in the business back in the 80s. And then there's just different merchandise as well, whether you need a casket or a cremation container, or if it's green burial, then like a burial shroud, and then various urns depending on what you wanted to do with the cremated remains if you chose that. And then finally, just just other options if there's going to be flowers or thank you cards, an online obituary notice, those types of things. So that this document here, people can just go through this and get a good sense of what needs to be done. These are the questions that we'll be asking when you come to see us. And then after that, we then record your specific wishes, let you know what the costs are, and then let you know what the prepayment options are. So if you want to prepay and lock in the costs against inflation, it can either be paid in a lump sum, a single payment, or monthly over 3, 5, or 10 years. And what happens in British Columbia and in every province and state in North America, the funds aren't, if in pre-planning, they're not paid to the funeral home. They're actually held in either a trust or funeral insurance certificate. It's in your name with the funeral home as the beneficiary. So when that happens, the funds are safe. If you decide to leave Victoria and move somewhere else, you would just change the beneficiary from one funeral home here to the new funeral home. Or if the funeral home that you chose locally is no longer in business, your funds are still safe. You would just change the beneficiary from one funeral home to another. And that's how that pre-planning prepayment works. So just finally, I'll just wrap up. So the number one thing to do for your pre-planning, it's not to prearrange your services. It's to see Jessica or one of her colleagues and have a will. Because we see what happens if a family has a valid will, and so then we take our direction from the executor. And if we don't, we have the government has given us a long list of who is next in line, and we have to take that information, that instruction from that hierarchical list. So the first part about pre-planning is to get your will, but then second is to make your pre-arrangements. And again, you can start by just filling out this form and keeping it, or you can hand it to your funeral home of choice, and they can start the process there. And just finally, just because you make your pre-arrangements doesn't mean that you're going to use them right away. We have had folks that have made their pre-arrangements, and it's been 30 years. So if you made your pre-arrangements with me in the next little bit, hopefully I'll be long retired by the time they're needed.
I can hold it in the middle.
Oh, great.
Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Let's give them a hand for